Hey, Kilted Warrior here. Hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe if you enjoy the content, and if you want to see more videos covering Elder Scrolls, Fallout and Mass Effect, be sure to check out the channel. Otherwise, join me as we discuss the Psijic Order. The Elder Scrolls. Fragments of creation. They have foretold the future, the coming of heroes who define the ages. They foresee calamity, millennia in the making. They have a story to tell of the multitude of actions of gods and mortals alike. To understand Tamriel, Mundus, we need to journey through the ages and tell the story of the Elder Scrolls. Just a quick spoiler warning, I really should have done these before. This video will have spoilers for most of ESO's Somerset storyline, that is its main storyline, and also Skyrim's College of Winterhold. I imagine it doesn't matter for most viewers, but I thought I would just indicate there are spoilers. Understanding the Psijic Order. In our last video, we discussed the Thalmor and their possible intentions in Elder Scrolls 6, as well as the organisation and its evolution. Yet, the question becomes, who will stop them if they are in fact involved in the next game? Well, first we will look at one of those groups that have already been opposed to the Thalmor and are an avowed enemy of them in that of the Psijic Order of Artaeum. We will discuss their history, their role, and how they may interact with the protagonist of the next game. So let us start by trying to understand who and what they are. In Elder Scrolls, there are many curious and influential groups, guilds, and factions that have played a role in Tamriel and even Mundus' history, and the Psijic Order is no different, and its outcasts having included the legendary group of colleagues of Vanus Galerion, founder of the Mages Guild, Mannimarco, the leader of the Worm Cult and perhaps the most infamous necromancer in history, who would go on to achieve godhood, and also Vasteri, a soul magic pioneer who is credited with the first bringing of black soul gems to Tamriel from Cold Harbour, and likewise being perhaps the only good lich in history under the service of the goddess Azura. So when thinking of groups who concern themselves with magical pursuits and developments, many players will immediately think of the Mages Guild, who have had a presence in most Elder Scrolls games. Yet, as influential as that guild was before it was dissolved, the group, which its founder again is Vanus Galerion, he had originated from another order that persists and has played a role in the magical defense of not only Tamriel, but also the cosmic defense of all existence. The Psijic Order is watching, like an unseen guardian of Mundus, only appearing when the need is most great, and it is from this esteemed order that many talented individuals would change the face of Nirn, for better and for worse, and would no doubt do so in the future. It is an order of the greatest mages in existence that transcends time and space, plucking at the fabric of reality as if it was a great web that requires careful maintenance to prevent catastrophe. Yet, before we can understand the role it might play in Elder Scrolls 6, it is important to first go through some of those key events and discuss some of those individuals that define the order. The Daedric War, rediscovering its purpose. As of the Second Era, during the Alliance War and the events of the Plane Meld, the Isle of Artaeum had been gone at this point for centuries, with even the greatest minds of Somerset having no idea where it went. Yet the whisperings of Daedric machinations on Somerset and involving the Crystal Tower being threatened would cause them to reappear. For a triad of Daedra calling themselves the Court of Bedlam, with the cults of Mephala, Clavicus Vile, and Nocturnal allying with an ancient sea slode seemingly attempting to take control of the Crystal Tower, Somerset, Tamriel, and even perhaps Mundus itself. The hero of prophecy would cross paths with the Psijic monks during their investigations and would be given a rare look at the secretive order, its members, and its duties, and even being invited to join them. For its right master, an ancient and skilled mage, would seek to unravel the mystery of the triad of princes and their court of Bedlam. Yet, as Daedra are wont to do, Nocturnal would betray the others, having in the past made a deal with the Right Master of the Psijic Order to hide the heart of transparent law, crucial part of the Crystal Tower's defences. The Right Master came to realise his own folly and would pay for it with his life, yet the Order, having been stunned by its own inaction and inability to adapt, would, with the help of the hero of prophecy, champion of Myrmidia calling themselves the Golden Knight, and Soule of the Tribunal, and even agents of the princes, the Order would be able to regain direction, and would come to understand that intervention and carefully formed alliance of mortals and even divine beings was necessary to protect Mundus and maintain the balance between planes. Nocturnal's plans would be thwarted with the assistance of Clavicus Vile and Mephala, yet it was a tough lesson not only for Somerset's denizens who failed to protect their sacred tower, but also the Psijic Order's policy of non-intervention and isolationism, which was harming both the Order itself but also its capabilities in the future. The Isle would remain hidden for mortal kind at large, yet it would take a more rigorous stance to intervention when needed and have its agents oversee Tamriel's cosmic security, as it were, and fully embracing its role not only as scholars in their ivory tower, so to speak, but as watchmen who would bring together and assist heroes in the future in protecting Mundus from all threats. Yet curiously, they would not see it necessary for a major intervention again until the 4th era, when the Order would make contact with a new initiate of the College of Winterhold. The Psijics and the Legacy of Magnus. While we have seen that the Psijic Order has taken an interest in protecting Mundus from Daedric machinations, they have always tried to collect and store artifacts of great power that could threaten Mundus and bring catastrophe if they got into the wrong hands. As was the case with the College of Winterhold in the 4th era, as a new initiate of the college stumbled upon a divine artifact in the form of what they would call the Eye of Magnus, which seemingly had been discovered in Starfall and was seemingly the true reason for the Thalmor's infamous attack in the Night of Tears in ages past. Yet even before its discovery, a member of the Order appeared before the initiate, demonstrating their mastery of time and space as they did it, having already predicted the possible outcomes of the artifact's discovery. The Order would carefully guide this individual, eventually revealing the college's many secrets and the legendary Staff of Magnus at the same time, all the while the Psijic monk would taunt and outwit the Thalmor agent who was in the college, one Ancano.
What trickery is this? You're not going anywhere until I find out what you're up to.
I am not up to anything. I apologize if I have offended you in any way.
We will see about this.
Eventually, with staff in hand, the newcomer would thwart Ancano's attempt to wield the power of the Eye of Magnus, as he famously let it slip that he intended to undo the world, perhaps revealing some of the Thalmor's true intentions. After his defeat, the Psijic Order's monks would appear. They would congratulate the new Archmage before taking the Eye of Magnus presumably to Artaeum to be studied and likely stored within Artaeum's relic vaults, just another artifact taken away from the wrong hands, and the Order, as curators, investigators, guardians, would slip away once more, not to be seen until their intervention was deemed necessary once more, and doubtless the Thalmor's ambitions would not keep them waiting for long. The Psijics and Elder Scrolls 6. The anticipation of the Thalmor. So we have an idea of the objectives, goals, and history of the Psijic Order. The question then becomes, how do they fit into Elder Scrolls 6? Well, first, they obviously would make for a great candidate for the obligatory mage-orientated guild questline, as every Elder Scrolls needs one, and compile that with the fact that Hammerfell, that would likely feature heavily in the next game, tends to shy away from magic, thus they don't have many great institutions of magic, though of course High Rock is the opposite of that, but they tend to be very decentralised, with mage academies, with the dissolution of the Mages Guild in the Third Era being taken into account. So the Psijics, with Artaeum as a separate world space that acts as a guild headquarters, would link nicely into the complex mage situation we find in the Iliac Bay. Plus, as much as I like the idea of more of the Synod and College of Whispers shenanigans, they likely have less of a presence in the decentralized High Rock than they do in Cyrodiil, where they try to win over the Elder Council or simply keep to themselves in the case of the College of Whispers. They would have some minor presence, of course, but let's be honest, the Psijics are a far more interesting possibility and have the added bonus of fitting nicely into the main quest line, even if the player decides not to join them, so they could still be an ally. So what of their role in the main story? Obviously, after ESO's Somerset and the Daedric War, which obviously spans multiple ESO expansions, it's clear that the Psijics now have an interest in making sure Nirn's towers do not fall into the wrong hands, and that their secrets remain hidden. And with a likely inclusion of the Thalmor in the story, you have the added bonus of the fact that they are clearly rivals at this point, and I would love to see a Psijic monk duel some Thalmor mages. I mean, please Bethesda, give us a proper magic dueling system, I beg you, it would be awesome. Anyway, there is also a chance that time travelling features in the story, as if we assume the Thalmor do somehow bring catastrophe upon Iliac Bay, or at least the beginning of it, it might require either travelling or peering into the past to see what happened, and even more interestingly, allowing us to see what actually happened at the Adamantine Tower, what the Aedra had discussed regarding Lorcan, and of course, if we do end up being Shore's herald in game, having the Psijics help us piece together those events, or even Shore's own memories perhaps, understanding his long game plan as it were, with a suitable amount of new revelations about the gods, which may include how Auriel became less elven-centric and his closer link to time as Akatosh. Another possibility is that the possible inclusion of the Sword Singers or Sword Saints, given that they are a key part of Hammerfell's lore that's been developed recently, and I believe that the main character will have some Sword Singer-like abilities. That's more of a personal thing. I did like the Foom, as it was magic that even non-magic characters in Skyrim could use, and having Sword Saints or Sword Singer-like abilities would allow us to do the same thing in Elder Scrolls 6, with a warrior twist in this case. So we could see ourselves travelling back to learn the knowledge of the likes of Lecky and Hundin, which would be very interesting to witness. So the Psijic Order, because of their capabilities, but also the fact that they can reasonably drop into the story at any point, anywhere, and need not purely be a mage's faction for the story at least, as they can function as main story allies, that help things along, while allowing new players to be caught up on lore about the Thalmor, the towers, and Nirn's defences, or Mundus' defences even, in general, but also letting us in on new secrets that have not been revealed in previous titles thus far. There are so many possibilities of what such a group as the Psijic Order could do and include. So what of the specifics and sort of an overview? Well, I think the Psijic Order will assist in the main quest. They make sense as of ESO they have a clear link to dealing with the towers, and remember that expansion was post Skyrim and thus acts as our last canon reference for the intent of the Order, hence why I emphasise their likelihood of intervening more, even though in Skyrim the Psijic monk we meet tends to downplay this and indicates that they tend not to interfere. Secondly, I think there's a good chance that they will form the mages faction of the game, as it seems Bethesda with Fallout 4 and with what we know about Starfield is leaning into having most guilds as part of the main questline, or at least interacting with it, though we'll have to wait and see on that front with regards to Starfield to confirm that aspect. As for the main story specifically, the Psijics are a gateway to gaining knowledge about the Adamantine Tower, its construction, its purpose, its weaknesses, but also the Psijics can help bring back the lost knowledge of the first Sword Saints if they're included as well, leading to a dream team of the best mages and warriors in Tamriel's history, with the Herald of Shore at the centre of all of it. And again, I totally want a showdown between a Psijic monk and a Thalmor Justiciar. I just think it would be very cool. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts on how you think they could be included. I think a lot of players think they will be, and in the case of Skyrim, I feel they were criminally underutilised, and if rumours are to be believed, it would seem the Mages Guild was the greatest victim as far as the guilds are concerned of cut content occurring. Hell, even playing through the questline again recently, you can tell that they didn't think through some of the dialogues. It implies things that clearly are not indicated at all by the player or to the player, which I found amusing to play through again. Also, I couldn't help but feel when I first played this back in 2011 that I felt like we were going to get another stage of the questline where we were part of the Psijic Order, a bit like how in the Thieves Guild you become a Nightingale, so an extension of that guild as it were, questline at least. Nevertheless, I feel their inclusion in Skyrim could hint at they were maybe thinking of using them in the future, as there's no Mages Guild to lean on anymore as the core questline. And sorry Synod and College of Whispers, they are not as interesting as the Psijics, though I am looking forward to Beyond Skyrim's take. I do like how they've done them, so props to them. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on that idea. Conclusion of Mages and Gods. So we have our first possible faction that we may find in Elder Scrolls 6, and there are several others we shall discuss in the future. Yet next we will have a change of gears, as it is only fair to start discussing the group of legendary individuals that I have mentioned several times throughout these videos, and the Mundus defining events they were part of. Of course, I speak of the Tribunal, the Heart of Lorkhan, the Forgotten Sixth House, and the rise of Azura's greatest champion. So next time we will start with the origins, actions, and the demise of the Almcivi, or Tribunal, and I will give you my thoughts on whether they were genuinely good gods, or was Dagorfur actually the victim of their scheming, their treachery. It goes without saying that it's one of my favourite parts of the lore, and I hope you will find it as interesting as I do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video if you stuck around to hear this. Thank you very much for your viewership if you did, and be sure to give me your thoughts on the Psijic Order, the Thalmor, and your predictions for Elder Scrolls 6. Otherwise, thanks for watching and have a great day.